Alright, so in this example, I'm going to show how a server client can move objects in the world based off mouse position. So if I show you, I'm running on a dedicated server, and if I hit play, it's going to give me this little mouse over, and when I press it, I'm able to move my actor around, and it's whichever one I choose. So I have a actor right here, which is used as our movable actor. I have a third-person player controller that I'm using, and the player character. So this is all based off of the third-person template. All I added was the player controller. Now let's go and open up the clickable actor. The main thing we need to go and check is in the class defaults. We need to make sure replicates movement and replicates are checked. What this is going to do, it's going to allow all the clients to see the actor, first of all, and then second is to see whether it's able to be moved in the world. First functions are off my capsule component, and it's when the cursor goes over the capsule, we're going to set it to a hovered state, and then when it's out of the capsule, we'll set it back to normal for the arrow color. When we press the arrow, we're going to first set our arrow color to pressed, and then we're going to get our player controller. What this is going to do, it's going to grab our player controller on our client, and then we need to cast it to our player character, and then promote this as a variable. What this update position does is essentially a gateway for my code to tell it to say, hey, update the actor's position, or don't update it. When we've released our mouse button, we'll set it back to hovered, and then set the player character variable to null, and then set the update position to false. So in the tick event, we'll check if we need to update the position, and then we're going to check if our player character is actually valid. If our player character is invalid, we kind of don't need to update the actor's location. Now in our player character, I've created two variables. One called the client request to move object, and one called the server. So from here, I'm sending over my actor that's clicked over to our client in our character. So let's open up the character, and I'll go to that function. So this is the function, and I'm basically passing the actor that's been clicked to the function for the server. What this is going to do, it's going to tell the server which actor to move. First thing in here, we need to get our player controller, convert the mouse location to world space, do a little bit of math, because in this part right here, I only want to move the object in the y-axis. And then I'm going to pass my calculation over to the server function, which is move object. This is the function which moves the server object, and the first thing we need to do under graph replicates in the details panel, we want to actually set it to run on server. Then we want to make sure we have authority, so just type in has authority, and that'll bring up this node right here. So whoever has authority is going to update this actor location. Authority means that the server itself is going to update this actor location for all the clients. If we had it on remote only, so the client would be able to update it, that would only show locally on each client. So if one client was able to update it, it wouldn't show on any other clients. That's why I set it to authority only. And this is a huge difference. If I set it to both, it's gonna look a little wonky. It might just go over. It's gonna basically what it's gonna do. It's gonna set for every client plus server. It's going to have separate locations for that object. So that's all you really need is the two functions right here. But just make sure in your player controller, under mouse interface, make sure your show mouse is obviously check marked. Enable your click events and mouse over events. And that should solve your problems.